Hey, there's a new video coming up, but first, don't forget to hit the like button. It's that little button that looks like this. Don't pay any attention to the one that looks like that. Just leave that alone. But the one that looks like this, just go ahead and hit it. What do you get to lose? Really? Please do it. Hey, welcome back to the OG Network. OG, of course, stands for Old Guy. I am the Old Guy, the OGJ, and joining me today, not that I'm a part, but he's here, and he's Mr. Kevin Bellerose from the Computer Doctor of Hampden.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm an OG also, OG Junior.
That's right. No OG in trainings today, like Zane. We've got the original OG, and Kevin is from the Computer Doctor of Hampden. He is an expert on everything to do with computers, correct?
That's right. I've been doing it since 1996. We opened our business, Computer Doctor of Hampden. We specialize in small business services and residential services. One thing that we focus on is cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is huge. You see it all over the news all the time. I deal with a lot of folks who are getting older. They're home and they make the mistake of answering their phone. You know, they see those calls, they pick them up, and hopefully they call me. If they don't call me, they get freaked out and think Microsoft is calling, Apple is calling, and guys, they're not going to call. They're not going to call you.
No. Computer companies don't call you. First of all, here's something to think about. Really, really common sense. If they call you up and say, hey, we notice you have a problem with your computer, will you let us on your computer to fix it? How did they know there was a problem with your computer if they weren't already on your computer? So the whole thing is a scam. If you call up a guy like Kevin and say, hey, I want remote support, I want you to get on my computer and fix it, that's one thing. Waiting for somebody to call and say, hey, we're from Dell or whoever, and we notice there's a problem, and for $149, we'll fix it all up for you.
Yeah, and another thing that we'll see is not just the phone calls that you get all the time, but you'll click on a web page, or you'll go out and you're trying to find a little piece of software, say a printer. You got yourself a new printer and you go to hp.com. Unfortunately, search engines, Yahoo and AOL are very big at this. They will sell their search results to the highest bidder. So you think you're going to hp.com because that one's right on the top, and it may have HP in it, but chances are it's a scam. And you'll click on that page, it'll say HP Gold Support, Microsoft Gold Support, things like that, and you'll click on it, and that opens the rabbit hole.
Right.
Next thing you know, another window will pop up, and you may get an alert, or you may download some malicious software that really does cause the infection. It's sort of like a vampire. You know, they can't come in unless you invite them.
That's
and
right.
They're very tricky on how they invite themselves.
One of the things that used to happen a lot is people are looking for a piece of software, like Kevin said, and you go to this, you think you're going to one site, you go to another site, and there's a big download button right there. And even sometimes when you're on the actual site, there's a big download button. And you think, okay, that's for my program. It's not for your program. It's to download a bunch of other crap on your computer that you have to take off, or you have to have your computer fixed or whatever. So it's really important to do. I used to tell people when I had my computer shop, I used to tell people 3 words: read your screen. Read it very carefully before you click on anything. That'll save you a phone call to Kevin, and it'll keep your computer running a little better, don't you think?
Yeah, and the good thing is that people can call me. If you've got a question, if you're in that moment, if you've got this tech support company on the line, you can give us a call. We're 207-862-7019. We're right over in Hampden, Maine. We love to help people not get scammed. So like Jay was saying, you'll go to a page. There's no free lunch on the internet. That's one thing that I tell people all the time. We all want to be independent. We all want to figure out, oh, hey, I just want to do this. I just want to do this on the computer. And there seems to be a free solution. Information is the new commodity.
Right.
So even if you're not plunking your credit card number in, by downloading a program, you could be allowing access to your information, your browsing habits, what you're looking at, who you're connecting with. And in the worst case scenarios, you can be downloading these little small programs that run in the background called keyloggers that can really compromise your bank accounts and what you do online. So there's so many things. If you're not sure, give us a call. And if you're in the moment and it's 1 o'clock, just close the computer. The biggest thing I can tell you is you see an alert on the screen that says Microsoft warning, danger, Will Robinson.
Right.
You know, people are freaking out about it, and there's all these things, and you may not fall into any of the categories on the screen, but in the moment, it's very frightening to people.
Right.
My recommendation, and this is not a great computer thing, but it's going to help you in the moment. Hold down your power button. Hold that power button down until the computer is completely shut off, and then give me a call. Give me a call in the morning. Just relax, take it easy. We'll talk about what's going on. We'll see how far down the rabbit hole we ventured and come up with a plan. It could be that you were able to stop that attack right there. If not, the biggest thing is do not allow anybody to connect to your computer. Computer Doctor offers secure, encrypted remote connection. We do it with all our business customers and our residential customers on an ad hoc basis. We'd love to be able to help you out in the moment. But if you can't reach out and touch your remote support person, you have no idea who's on your computer, where they are, or what their intention is. It's very simple to go in and pull out all of your passwords. It's I see people get connected all the time, and I've gone over to folks' houses that are still connected to these people, and they're telling them one thing, and we don't know what we don't know. So we get sold a bill of goods a lot of times.
Yep.
And people are really, they want to think the best of folks. They engage with them on the phone. They think that they're doing the right thing at the right time for the right reason, and you've got to be mindful of what goes on the computer.
Yeah, the guy on the other end of the phone's not your friend.
He's not. He's trying to get you
make a
to
living.
either get your wallet open,
Yep.
or get information off of your computer that could compromise you at a later time.
And I will leave a link in the description of Kevin, his business, and remote support. That's the best thing that you've got going for you. I didn't offer that at my shop. I didn't want to deal with it, but you do. And you can actually get into somebody's computer anywhere in the world, as long as you have their permission.
Yep. I've had a number of customers, and I was on vacation once, and I was actually in England on the back of a narrowboat, and I had a business customer call me up, and they said, hey, there's something that popped up on my screen, and I was able to grab a Wi-Fi and log on to their computer.
Yep.
And I was able to take care of them in the moment, let them know that everything was cool, and followed up with them later. So that's the great thing about secure remote support with a provider that is we can resolve things in the moment and take care of things.
This has just turned into a 7-minute commercial for you, hasn't it?
Well, hey,
That's okay. I don't mind that. But I want to brush just a couple of quick things here.
Sure.
One of the nice things about having Kevin here is I don't have to say anything. He just goes off, and I just let him go. I could have had a cup of coffee, and I could have just. But ransomware is the big one, and we're going to. If you've never heard the term ransomware, you could be just surfing around on the internet, and then this screen will come on and say your computer has just been locked. You pay us so much money, and you have 24 hours. If you don't, all of your stuff is gone. Correct?
That is correct. And
what do you do when that happens?
Well, hopefully you've got good virus protection. The virus protection that we're using now is much better than it was a few years ago.
Absolutely.
And there is ransomware protection that's built in, and it sort of looks at the process of what's going on in the background, and if it sees files being renamed or access coming from another IP address, which is sort of like your internet address, the address you see in the URL bar is the address that we can read. The IP address it's sort of like a phone book, your telephone number versus your name in the phone book. So the program will look for IP addresses that have been blacklisted and then see that an activity is going on in your computer. Unfortunately, there's a lot of folks that have lost everything. There's some businesses that I hadn't been working with that have called up and said, hey, our QuickBooks is now encrypted, all our files are encrypted, our spreadsheets are encrypted. And at that point, you can roll the dice. You can pay them. They usually want to be paid in Bitcoins, which is sketchy at best at itself. And then
Or prepaid cards too. I used to get that.
Yeah, Western Union.
Yep.
So back away from anything that says Western Union on the internet. That's generally something that you can't back out of. So if you have buyer's remorse over getting involved with somebody online, Western Union, all deals are final. That's what we've come across. But to get back to the ransomware, people are losing things permanently. You get a ransom that can be anywhere from $200 to $3,000.
Yep.
I've seen, and there are some people that have paid, some people that have gotten it back, some people that have paid and not gotten anything
That's
back.
You mean you can't trust the criminal?
No, you can't. No. So you.
That's not fair.
Yes, the best protection against that is making sure things are backed up. Backup
Yes.
is easy these days. If you have a lot of pictures, I recommend putting Google Photos on everything that you own. So they will allow you to back up all your photos. You can put all your documents in Google Drive, and it's free. Everybody's got a Gmail account, I think, at this point.
Well,
and
a lot of people, yep.
Yeah, if you're still sporting an AOL or a Yahoo account, you're probably dealing with so much spam at this point, it might make sense to move on to Gmail. And when you do that, as long as you have that Gmail account active, you'll be able to sync all your photos. And then if something happens, at least you've got a lower resolution version of Christmas of last year. You know?
Right.
So something
So you
as
say
simple as
I
that.
should probably change my CompuServe.com. I should probably get a different email address.
Yeah, I think so. It might be time.
okay.
It might be time.
Damn. I hate change. See, that's the problem with older people, too. We hate change. We absolutely hate it. So when something like this comes up, we get very frustrated very quickly. I had a guy who used to come into my shop just about once every 2 or 3 weeks. He used to get these warnings all the time, the FBI warnings. Remember
Yes.
those? Do you still get those?
Once in a while. I mean, they've changed more now to these Microsoft alerts saying that your computer is locked.
Right.
But yeah, the FBI was huge, and it would scare some folks.
Well, this guy, he got this FBI warning. He was just surfing along. I'm not sure what he was looking for, but he got an FBI warning. He really believed the FBI was looking at his computer. He came in, talked to me. We got him all taken care of. Then it happened again. The second time it happened, with specifically the FBI warning, he didn't believe anything I said. He believed the FBI. He took a brand new laptop, maybe a 4-month-old laptop, put it on my counter, and said, "Keep it," and walked out. And that's the last time I ever saw that man, too. If you got to remember, if you get a warning that says FBI, NSA, government agency is watching you, they know you've downloaded some illegal programs or pictures or what have you, why would they tell you?
Right.
They would say, "Oh, this guy's doing something illegal. We're going to save his information. We're going to go arrest him, put handcuffs on him, put him in the back of a car and drive off." They're not going to send you a warning saying, "Hey, you know what? We know you're doing something bad, but why don't you go down and get one of those blue dot cards for $150 and we'll let this all go."
Yeah, that's one way of funding the government. I think people are trying to figure that out. But no, that's 100% scam. But it feeds on people's fear,
Right.
And that's really unfortunate because most of the time people are just. I had this wonderful lady. She was in her 80s, and she is looking for a knitting pattern to make holiday gifts. And one of these things popped up on her screen, and she lost it.
Oh, yeah.
She came down, and she was waiting for me in the morning with her laptop with this warning on. And she's like, "I'm not doing anything wrong." And I'm like, I know. It's going to be okay. But, people, we're all just trying to get through life, trying to get through what we want to accomplish during the day. And when we see something like this for the first time, it's pretty frightening. But one big thing is just don't click on anything. So the thing with a web page is it can be designed to interact in a completely different way. So you go to try to click out of the box. Well, that box could mean okay because they program the web page that way. And like Jay was saying earlier, the same thing with trying to get free, like I said, there's no free lunch. So you go and you try to get these programs, and if you're looking in your web browser and you see all these little extensions, Radio Rage and Map Finder and Free PDF, all these little free things, they track your information and they send your browsing habits out, and they could do much more. So be careful, and when you go to those pages, like you're right, it says download here, and you're not even downloading that. You're downloading something else, and then changes happen to your computer. One big thing to think of is when you search for something on the internet, when you search on Google or Yahoo or AOL or MSN, if that page changes, if it's something that it's still coming up with results, but the results look very different, they're formatted differently,
Right.
that is an indication that your browser has had some changes done to it, and maybe it's time to call and at least ask for some advice.
Yep, that's good. And the other thing you're going to notice when you get these type of things, like he said, they track your information, you start getting more phone calls, don't you?
You do. You do.
Now, you got one just before we even started this. You got a phone call from somebody, hey, we want to give you more money for a mortgage. Or
Yeah.
one of the telephone scams that's going on right now, it's been going on for about 10 years. People are still falling for it. I get at least 5 or 6 of these a day. They say, hi, I'm so-and-so from such and such, and can you hear me okay? Then if you say yes, the conversation goes away. The phone call is done. What they do is, well, I'll let you explain. You know what
Sure,
this is.
sure. I mean, they can use software to record your voice, and we've all, things are becoming more automated. And going through these voice prompts, they can capture your voice and approve, say, credit cards.
Right.
I had a woman, this was about 2 months ago now. She received an unsolicited Amazon credit card in the mail that looked 100% legit. She showed it to me, and she said that they had called to activate it. And I've never heard of anybody, of a credit card calling and
No, you
wanting
have to
to
call them.
activate. Right, exactly. So that's a dead giveaway. If a company is calling you to activate something and asking you questions and sort of leading you around, and she said exactly that. They kept wanting me to say yes. They
Oh, yeah.
kept, and that made her feel very uncomfortable, and we followed up with Amazon, and it was another scam. So
Well, a lot of these pre-recorded people that call up, it's a pre-recorded conversation. They sound like they're live.
right.
Hi, I'm Becky, and this, how are you today? Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
If you
Yep.
say yes, they're going to use that to approve a credit card or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
like Kevin just said. What I usually do is just say scam, 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 and then I hang up the phone.
Yep.
Sometimes I'll just swipe and just get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
You can get creative. I've screamed at them. I've said,
Yeah.
well, I had one where a guy actually called me, and it wasn't a pre-recorded. It was an actual person, but I knew it was a scam. And when he called me, I said, look, before we get started, do you know where I can get rid of a body? The guy immediately hung up the phone.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably don't want to do that, then you get into other trouble. But, it's okay to have fun with these people, too, because they're wasting your time.
It is, and I take a little different view on things. It's a thankless job. I mean, we have no idea where these people are or what they're doing, and I'm just happy that my life hasn't led me down that path, or I'm calling and hustling people. So I'll say I understand that you're trying to make a living, and I wish you the absolute best, and I send them back to the universe. A lot of these, they are robocalls, so they're not
Right.
calling you specifically. They're fishing for information,
Right.
and it's an automatic dialer. It's waiting for a response, and the more you respond, now they know that your telephone number is good because you've responded to them.
Right.
So that your number gets sold to another one, and the calls multiply. So there are some filtering devices out there that I have people use. It is a little more cumbersome because it intercepts all the calls and then makes you hit a keystroke before it sends the call through. So those are some things, if you're really frustrated and you're holding on to your landline, you've had it forever, that's something that you can do. We can put a link to some of those also.
We can just go back to common sense, too. If somebody's calling you and you don't recognize the number, just hang up. Call it back if you want, and then immediately you'll know if it's somebody, is a doctor's office or a friend of yours who changed their number or whatever. But that way you take the control out of their hands.
Yep.
And now you're in control of the phone call, and you can hang up at any time.
Right. And they can change the caller ID too. So that
Well, that's with VPNs now. I get calls all the time that says Bangor, Maine.
right.
They're not coming from Bangor, Maine.
Nope.
They're coming from elsewhere.
Right, and they're spoofing the phone number. So they're spoofing a local number. So sometimes you'll see a number that's very similar to yours. And there's a system out there that knows what extension and what area code that it's calling into. It creates these numbers on the fly, and it makes you pick up the phone, which is what their goal is, to pick up the phone.
Yep. And quickly, you touched on it just a few minutes ago. Virus software, antivirus software. Good rule of thumb I always had was you get what you pay for.
Yes.
So
100%.
if you're going to go with like Windows Defender, works great, but you want something with a little more teeth, something that will stop you from getting these ransomware scams and everything. Pay for it. Just go ahead, buy it, get it. Have somebody like Kevin set it up for you. Don't do it if you don't know what your computer can do or what you're doing to your computer, have a professional set it up. Kevin can do it right over the phone or right over the
we
internet.
could initiate a remote session, and we install a number of different ones, and it all depends on what your use is.
Right.
If you're on the internet and you're on a Chromebook and all you do is go out and check your Facebook page, I wouldn't worry about it.
No.
But if you're doing anything with checking your bank account, if you're ordering things, anything that you're engaging in commerce with, then you need to have paid antivirus protection just to cover all the bases.
Right.
It's coming to a point where banks are going to be looking at their potential loss, and if you're not holding up your end of the bargain by keeping your computer locked down, then there's going to come a point where the liability is going to focus back on you for not taking care of your stuff.
Yep.
So, we'd certainly be able to help anybody with that and try to figure out, what do you have for a computer? What's your usage, and how much security do you need?
Exactly. But again, and I got to just drive this in. There's a lot of free stuff out there. Potentially free stuff out there. Make sure you get a decent software. You've heard of these, you've heard of Malwarebytes, you've heard of Kaspersky, you've heard of, all of these different ones. At the very least, if you are unsure, call a professional. Usually they won't charge you anything. You just say, hey, what's the best thing for me? Kevin will go over the options and say, what do you want? And this is what you can do. Don't just click on, this is good enough. It says it's free, and everybody on it is really happy.
Right. Well, they create those reviews.
Of course they do.
And unfortunately, sometimes the free software that you're getting is in fact itself a virus. So now you've gone ahead and installed it, and that goes back to that vampire analogy. So you've invited Vlad the Impaler right onto your computer, and now they'll have remote access through a back door to be able to go in at their leisure and take whatever information they want off of it. Saving $30 a year, $40 a year is small change compared to what most people can lose if you are doing any sort of online commerce.
Yep, exactly. And in the old days too, that was one of the reasons why people would use Macs. Because they didn't get viruses. Well, there wasn't as many Macs out there, so they didn't write viruses for those because 95% of the population was using a Windows computer.
Right.
If you're going to break into somebody's house, you're going to go to the biggest population.
Right.
But now that's not the case.
That is not the case anymore. So it's funny that you mentioned that, because we do a lot of Mac repair at Computer Doctor, and every computer leaving now has a active paid antivirus on there, because they are targeting Mac systems more than Windows, because people have had that mindset that Macs are bulletproof. That's why I have a Mac, is there's no viruses. Well, the clock has ticked, and unfortunately, there's a lot of folks out there that want to make a fast buck.
Well, one of the things people that are doing this realized was, hey, the Macs cost 10 times as much as the other computer. These people might have some money. So now they're going to target them.
Well, and the information on those computers may be a little more valuable to them.
Exactly. I mean, they sell millions and millions of Windows computers, every year, compared to what one company is selling their computer.
Right.
So yeah. So now if you have a Mac, get antivirus on it. You need it. Don't let your grandkids tell you, oh no, they don't get viruses.
Right.
They do.
They definitely do.
Absolutely do.
And
phones too.
Yep. And on the Mac side, though, time machine backups. Everybody should have a little USB drive that they can plug in, back your stuff up. You download all your vacation pictures, or you're a student, plug that drive in, it'll back up your whole system, then unplug it. That will prevent a virus from infecting your time machine backup drive, and then put it in your desk, put it in your car, put it in your neighbor's house to keep it safe. Just that little bit of peace of mind, is going to protect your memories, your documents, and potentially your business if you're running a business off your computer.
I used to tell people, especially for businesses, when you use a backup drive, try to store it, and you just hit on it, try to store it someplace other than where your computer is.
Definitely.
The sad fact is, I've actually known people who had businesses, they back up their computer, then they take their drive and they put it in the safe and forget about it. What happens if the business burns down, gets flooded, and that's going to get destroyed? Redundancy is a good thing. Have two backups.
Right.
Have one at your house. Take home one in a briefcase, or if apparently Baxter doesn't agree with me. Come here. If you have a business, you want to make sure you have a backup in at least two locations.
Yes. Yep. Preferably online if the information
Right.
if you're comfortable putting your information online, having it off-site somewhere in the cloud that you can be able to retrieve it is really handy, especially we go back to that Google Photos. Having the availability to whenever you log into your Gmail account, all your pictures live there. So I have every picture I've taken since I had my first digital camera now lives on Google Photos. And so I'm not worried about my laptop breaking or something happening. And as long as I have that account open, I'm going to have access to all my pictures and be able to share it and do whatever I want. So that's peace of mind for me. And I'm not, I have a lot of computers, as you can imagine, and I change them quite frequently. So I'm not worried about having to move my pictures around. I just install Google Photos on every device that I get, syncs it all up, and I'm good to go.
Well, I think we probably ought to wrap this up.
Sounds
We've
good.
been doing this now for almost 30 minutes. I've never done a video this long, so we'll see what happens. But thanks, Kevin, for
You're
showing
welcome.
up. We're going to have you back here again.
Oh,
if
we've
you
got
will.
lots of things.
Well, yes.
We've got lots of stuff to talk about.
One great thing about old people is they have a lot of time. Some old people have a lot of time, and they like to get hobbies, and they want to do things. One of the hobbies that a lot of people tell me about is music. Oh, I'm going to play a guitar. I tried to play guitar when I was 16. I think I want to try to do that now. I thought maybe we'd have you back because Kevin is a wonderful guitar player. And he is an expert on buying used instruments.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have
How many guitars you got now?
I may have 18. There's a guitar acquisition syndrome, gas. I'm right in the middle of my gas phase right now.
And how many of those guitars have I sold you?
Most of them. Most of them.
In case you missed it, I used to own a pawn shop as well as a computer shop. And Kevin, just about every day, Kevin would call me up. You get anything else? You get anything else? But there's a lot. If you're going to if you're going to do something like that, and you want to play guitar or mandolin or whatever, probably don't go out and buy a brand new instrument. Buy a used one. And I thought we'd have you back here, and you can give us some tips on how to do that.
Sounds great.
All right. Plus, we'll think of some other stuff. We have a lot.
We do.
Kevin and I have a lot of interests that are the same. The computers, race cars. We love to. He has a beautiful 1972 Buick that he likes to race around in, and we're going to have you back. We'll do
Sounds
some
great.
stuff.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Well, for Kevin, for me, and for Baxter, who's been pretty good. That's it. That's the video. We'll come back with another one. I've got a guy from an HVAC guy coming in, and he's going to tell us all about our furnaces and what we should do to keep those up and running. And we'll do that next time. So hey, that's the old guy. We'll see you.